Hello, I'm walking, so there's a lot of background noise, but the birds have just been so vocal. And this morning, a crow or a raven, I really need to learn to tell the difference between the two, flew right in the window in front of the door where I was getting my niece and nephew ready for school with my brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law was like, "Look, everyone, a crow or a raven." And I feel like they've been just serendipitously arriving in certain ways. And I had a song in my head when I woke up. What do you want from me? I don't know who sings it, but I know it came through a message or transmission at some point in the last few months. And even though it's coming through again, it feels like a bit of a different, like the energetics behind it feel a little bit different. And this sort of feels like someone that you're connected to. And okay, 0110 is right next to my license plate, and then 4333. And I just saw 4443, the inverse of that, like maybe 3 minutes ago. And this morning I saw 777 and 222. So every time I think I get away with being short and sweet, there's another layer that comes in. So I was reminded there's a transmission that I know I brought through in layers, like it's come through multiple transmissions around this very potent dream astral experience that I had about a Ferris wheel. So if you've heard that, or if it comes up in the near future, and a license plate just drove by with my birthday, so you could be seeing birthday, life path number, something of significance around a gift, receiving, being celebrated. But there's also the car that it was on is like a synchronicity for me. So there's something like that as well coming through. And yeah, the chariot, or in the runic alphabet, Raidho, which is like the essence of the chariot card, there's something about that movement coming through. And now I'm seeing a bunch of zeros. So yeah, this alchemization from like the binary code, I'm also seeing binary suns or binary stars, into quantum computing is coming up, like for your own processing system, your own connection. And with the Ferris wheel dream, I was reminded, of course, it reminds me of like the wheel of fortune and tarot 10, maybe seeing 1010 a lot. I know I have been. And the other day, my nephew like really wanted to go on the Ferris wheel. And so in Seattle, they have like a really cool Ferris wheel. If you're not familiar, it's really pretty. So the whole family, we went to the Ferris wheel, and the next day I was like reminded of that experience and the synchronicity of the Ferris wheel. So if you're not familiar with that transmission, the essence of the transmission was, in the stream I was by myself. I went on a Ferris wheel. And it's funny because I haven't been on a Ferris wheel in a really long time. So in fact, the last time I think I was on one, I was just talking to my sister, I think when I was in Germany during a World Cup. I was not there for the World Cup. It just happened to be on, and there was like this crazy, it was just crazy. And my two friends I was with, we were like, how can we just take a break from this? Because it was just everywhere. So we found this Ferris wheel and just like went on a bunch of times. It was like a small one. Anyway, so the Ferris wheel, Germany, Europe can be significant, but in the dream I was on this Ferris wheel, just living my life. And then as soon as I came, it's like my life was very quiet. And then as soon as I got off the Ferris wheel, I remember it was nighttime. Some like old-timey reporter with a camera came up, and I was like, excuse me, like what's happening? And like very quick talking, like with a pen, writing things down, licking his finger, like turning a page type of energy. And I was like, and he's like, how does it feel? And I was like, how does what feel? And he was like, how does it feel? It was like, basically it was like with the turn of that wheel, I'm recording in like sort of a busy street, so that's why a little bit of cliffhangers, so I could not have too much noise in the background. But yeah, how does it feel? And then all of a sudden there were like, old school like tabloids, like something that I was working on like took off, and when I say me, I mean I was in the dream, but this is like a collective, for the collective. So the collective like took off. They were known like seemingly just with the turn of this wheel, right on the ride, the turn of the I'm hearing like the karma into dharma, and like the masculine aspect to the feminine collective that was highlighted in this dream. So I walked by someone mumbling the word Jesus, and now I'm seeing Abraham. And my friend this morning sent me a rabbi speaking about the blood moon tonight, and I keep seeing the number 243, which is my number for basically like being surrounded by the angelic consciousness. So something is happening. I think the blood moon is tonight. And this morning when I was walking with my brother-in-law, we were like, I was looking up and I was like, this is so embarrassing for me, but like, I don't know if that's the sun or the moon. Like the moon looked, or I still don't know if it was the sun or the moon, but it looked like the sun disguising to be the moon or vice versa. And it was like dark but light at the same time, almost like eclipse energy. So then right after that is when my friend sent me the blood moon Instagram clip that he found, and it was like, yeah, within like a few minutes. And so this other energy that's coming through, this other, like the masculine collective, feels like they are having this like, again, eclipse moment come through. And I'm walking by a sign that says 13 and Boston. So Boston can be significant for someone, but the number 13 has been coming through so strongly. And in the last transmission that I just released, I'm recording the overflow for Patreon, hopefully today or tomorrow. Well, definitely not tomorrow, but today or someday this week. And the neutron window was coming through. So the neutron is allegedly a neutral energy. It doesn't like have a charge. So yeah, there's something about this wheel turning into the era where you've been in this sort of like neutral energy, maybe even working on the way you react or lack thereof. But there's something that you're neutralizing into that 0 point, into the void space, into the creation aspect, the creative, co-creative. Oh my God, now all of a sudden all these trucks are coming by. But yeah. So as the wheel turns, the feminine collective, in the dream, the masculine was also being talked about from this reporter. And it was like he had announced that he was about to like propose marriage. Of course, these can all be like energetic. The hieroglyphic template is all about, like, if you're not familiar, the unification of like spirit and matter, the essence of spirit in spiritual union with yourself, and whatever word you would like to use. So this will probably come through for different people in different ways, the internal divine masculine feminine, etc. But for a lot of us who have been sort of feeling the signs and synchronicities, I had a vision of a diamond ring, which that's not really my thing, but I think it was more symbolic. Like it was like a jewelry box with the ring and then it being open, and I could see like a masculine behind it, like holding it as like an offering. So yeah, and again, this is not putting anyone into like traditional marriage or institution or diamonds or anything like that. I mean, if that's what you want, that's also great, but there's just like the energetics of the symbolism. Yeah, so after getting off the Ferris wheel the other day with my niece and my nephew and everyone, I was like looking around, and we walked up I'm like all of a sudden losing my breath for a second. Yeah, that feels part of the energy. we were walking up these little stairs, and then there was this like beautiful waterfall. I'm being dramatic. It was not a beautiful waterfall. Energetically, I feel a beautiful waterfall. I'm having a hard time saying that word. It was a fountain, not a waterfall. We were supposed to go to a waterfall that day, and we didn't. That's why I said waterfall. But still, it was a fountain. So there's also something like that too. Like I thought I was going to see a waterfall, and then instead, like plans changed, but there was still a fountain, like of water. Just, I think there was a lot of gold around it too. So yeah, there's something like trusting the way you feel things and the way they show up, because again, next steps are coming in. Like if you've been asking like what is my next step, like there's some sort of like clarity or illumination, or there's like something coming where the wheel is turning. And that's, I don't know, that's just what I feel. Yeah, okay, yeah, I think that's it. Thank you. 9/11 on the timer. And a transmission that I released very recently, I can't remember exactly which one, the word expose was coming through, or exposure. And I think it was coming through a lot of the shadow aspects, but now it seems to be coming through in some of the more like the star card, like the glowing, shimmering aspect of exposure. So yeah, it's like working through the shadow aspect, and then comes the word is not coming, but I feel it. So that could be also something that you're experiencing. Maybe you're like feeling something really strongly, or being shown something, but maybe the words haven't come yet, or maybe it's still formulating, or still landing in some way. Where I am, the sun is really been coming out the last couple of days, and apparently, even though it's still winter here, this winter has been like very mild for the place that it usually is. And I just feel like there's, like the Temperance card and Tarot is coming through. Also, I kept feeling the frequency of Archangel Raziel, like for the last few days, which I believe the name translates to like secret of God or something, God's secret. Not in like the dogmatic God aspect, but yeah. So, it's also like representative of like wisdom. I'm hearing inner magic. I looked it up the other day, but I'm just bringing in the essence. I'm also being showed like ultraviolet light, pinks, magenta, golds. Yeah, this is just a short check-in transmission, tap-in. But it does also feel like someone that you may be connected to is going through something of, so that song, Just Keep Coming Around, hey, what do you want from me? Thanks for loving me because you're doing it perfectly. Yeah, there feels like perhaps you have been showing up for someone, and recently you decided, or at some point you decided you can do it energetically or with love, but you've had to like pull back to yourself in some way, or there's different variations of this, but that's like the general energy. So now this song is coming through as like this other person is like finally feeling like they're getting that, like, oh, maybe there's something that I need to do a bit differently, because maybe they've been used to a certain dynamic and sort of maybe taking advantage of that in their shadow aspect. So it feels like there's some sort of light being shown on that. And I just heard the phrase next steps. Yeah. Okay, yeah, this is just short and sweet. Thank you.